You wake up in a world where clothes don't exist. There are no shirts, no shoes, and no blankets to keep you comfortable. The morning air feels cold against your skin, but everyone around you seems completely unfazed. For countless generations, this has simply been the way humans live. You might assume that the first people rushed to invent clothing as soon as they felt cold. Surprisingly, history tells a much more fascinating story. Humans survived for millions of years without wearing anything at all. During that time, our ancestors spread across forests, grasslands, mountains, and coastlines. They hunted dangerous animals using little more than simple tools and teamwork. They gathered fruits, roots, and nuts while facing countless dangers every single day. Yet clothing wasn't one of their earliest inventions. That raises an obvious question. If clothes seem so essential today, why did humans wait so long to start wearing them? Scientists have searched for the answer for decades. Archaeologists, geneticists, and anthropologists have all uncovered pieces of the puzzle. Their discoveries challenge one of the oldest assumptions about human history. The real reason humans started wearing clothes may have had very little to do with fashion. In fact, it may not even have started with the cold. To understand why, we need to travel millions of years into the past. Back then, our ancestors looked different from us in one important way. Their bodies were covered with much more hair than modern humans. Thick body hair acted as a natural layer of protection against the environment. It helped trap heat during cool nights and shielded the skin from the sun. But evolution was slowly changing the human body. Over hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors began losing most of their body hair. At first glance, that seems like a terrible survival strategy. Why would evolution remove something so useful? The answer lies under the blazing African sun. Early humans spent more and more time walking long distances in open landscapes. Unlike many animals, humans became exceptional endurance walkers and runners. Chasing prey across the savanna required incredible stamina. Running for hours generated enormous amounts of body heat. Staying cool became just as important as staying warm. Humans evolved millions of sweat glands across their skin. Sweating allowed excess heat to escape more efficiently than thick fur ever could. Losing body hair made this cooling system even more effective. It gave humans an unexpected advantage over many other predators. While faster animals rested to avoid overheating, humans could keep moving. Eventually, exhausted prey would slow down. This hunting strategy became known as persistence hunting. It helped humans catch animals that were much faster than themselves. But every advantage comes with a cost. Bare skin was now exposed to harsh sunlight, insects, sharp plants, and freezing nights. Survival had become a balancing act between staying cool and staying protected. Even so, humans still didn't immediately invent clothing. They adapted in other ways first. They sought shade during the hottest parts of the day. They slept close together to share body heat during cold nights. They learned to control fire, making warmth easier to find when temperatures dropped. Even after mastering fire, the mystery of clothing was only just beginning. Fire made cold nights far less dangerous than they had once been. A single campfire could warm an entire family gathered around it. It also kept many predators from wandering too close after sunset. If warmth alone had inspired clothing, humans might have started wearing animal skins much earlier. Yet the archaeological record tells a different story. The oldest surviving pieces of clothing are surprisingly young compared to the age of our species. That doesn't mean earlier clothing never existed. Most early garments were probably made from animal hides, leaves, or plant fibers. Those materials decompose quickly, leaving almost no trace behind. So how can scientists estimate when clothing first appeared? The answer came from an unexpected source. It wasn't hidden inside a cave or buried beneath ancient soil. It was living on the human body itself. Tiny parasites carried one of the biggest clues in human history. Specifically, scientists studied lice. At first, that sounds almost ridiculous. How could such a tiny insect reveal when humans invented clothing? The secret lies in the different kinds of lice. Head lice spend their entire lives living in human hair. Body lice, however, survive mainly inside clothing. They hide within the seams of fabric and crawl onto the skin only to feed. Without clothing, body lice simply cannot survive. That means body lice could only evolve after humans began wearing clothes regularly. Scientists compared the DNA of head lice and body lice. By measuring how much their genes had changed over time, they estimated when the two groups split apart. The results were astonishing. The split appears to have happened roughly 170,000 years ago. That suggests humans were wearing clothing by at least that time. This estimate matches surprisingly well with other evidence from human migration. Around this period, humans began expanding into colder parts of the world. They were leaving the warm climates where our species first evolved. New environments brought unfamiliar challenges. Winters became longer and far more dangerous. Snow covered the ground for months instead of days. Cold winds could drain body heat in a matter of hours. Suddenly, surviving the climate required more than fire alone. Clothing transformed from a convenience into a necessity. But making clothing was anything but simple. A fresh animal hide is stiff, heavy, and unpleasant to wear. If left untreated, it quickly begins to rot. Early humans had to discover ways to preserve hides. They scraped away fat and muscle using sharp stone tools. Then they stretched the skins to prevent them from shrinking. Some groups softened hides by rubbing them with animal brains or natural oils. Others smoked the hides over slow-burning fires. These methods made leather stronger, softer, and far more durable. Every successful technique was passed down through generations. Knowledge became just as valuable as the hides themselves. Over time, clothing evolved from simple protection into carefully crafted equipment. And this was only the beginning of humanity's remarkable relationship with clothing. The first garments were probably nothing like the clothes hanging in your closet today. They were rough, heavy, and stitched together only well enough to survive another journey. Every piece of clothing represented hours, sometimes days, of hard work. A successful hunt provided not only food but also valuable raw materials. Nothing from a large animal was wasted. Bones became tools, tendons became strong threads, hides became shelter, blankets, and eventually clothing. Every resource had a purpose. Early humans couldn't afford to be wasteful. At first, clothing may have consisted of little more than a hide draped over the shoulders. There were no buttons or zippers. There weren't even needles as we know them today. But necessity drives innovation. Humans began shaping bones into some of the world's earliest sewing needles. These tiny tools completely changed what clothing could become. Instead of simply wrapping hides around the body, people could now stitch them together. Better-fitting clothes trapped warm air more effectively. They also allowed people to move with greater freedom. A hunter couldn't afford to trip over loose animal skins while chasing prey. Well-made clothing became a survival advantage. Groups with better clothing were more likely to survive harsh winters. They could travel farther into unfamiliar lands. They could remain active even when temperatures dropped below freezing. Slowly, humans expanded into places that had once been impossible to inhabit. Forests covered in snow no longer seemed completely hostile. Mountain valleys became new hunting grounds. Frozen plains offered fresh opportunities. Clothing helped unlock an entirely new world. Yet protection from the cold wasn't the only benefit. Thick hides also shielded the body from painful cuts and scratches. Dense forests were filled with thorny plants and sharp branches. Even a small wound could become life-threatening without modern medicine. Clothing reduced those risks. It also protected the skin from biting insects. Mosquitoes, ticks, and flies carried diseases long before humans understood germs. Covering the body created a simple but effective barrier. Sunlight posed another hidden danger. Spending hours beneath intense sunlight could damage exposed skin. Animal hides helped block some of that harmful exposure. In many environments, clothing became useful in every season. But something unexpected was beginning to happen. Clothing was no longer just about survival. It was becoming part of human identity. Different groups started making clothing in different ways. Certain animal skins became more desirable than others. Some hides were softer, others were stronger. A skilled craftsperson could transform ordinary materials into something remarkable. People began noticing not only what someone wore, but what their clothing might say about them. A beautifully crafted animal hide could reveal the skill of the person who made it. Wearing the fur of a powerful predator may have signaled courage or hunting ability. Certain materials became symbols of experience rather than simple protection. Clothing was slowly turning into a form of communication. Long before written language, people could tell stories without saying a single word. A decorated cloak might reveal where someone came from. A unique pattern could identify a particular family or tribe. Special ornaments might mark an important ceremony or achievement. Every detail carried meaning. Humans had discovered something remarkable. Clothes didn't just protect the body, they expressed identity. This was a turning point in human history. Our ancestors were no longer changing only through biology. They were changing through culture, Ideas could now spread faster than evolution ever could. One clever design could be copied by an entire community. Each generation improved upon the last. Innovation became part of everyday survival. A warmer cloak, a stronger stitch, a lighter material. Small improvements added up over thousands of years. Clothing became more comfortable. It became more reliable. And eventually, it became beautiful. Decorations appeared on garments long before cities existed. Shells, feathers, teeth, and colorful stones were carefully attached to clothing. These decorations served no practical purpose against the cold, yet people invested valuable time creating them. Why? Because humans care deeply about social connection. Looking different could attract attention. Looking skilled could earn respect. Looking unique could strengthen a person's place within the group. Clothing had become a social tool. It helped build trust, status, and belonging. This may have given communities an unexpected advantage. Groups with stronger social bonds often cooperated more effectively. Better cooperation meant better hunting. Better hunting meant more food. More food meant healthier families. Healthier families raised more children. Those children inherited not only genes but also traditions. Over countless generations, clothing became woven into every part of human life. It protected the body, it strengthened communities, it carried stories across generations. It helped humans conquer environments that once seemed impossible. The hidden reason humans started wearing clothes wasn't just to survive the world, it was to reshape it. And every shirt, jacket, or pair of shoes you wear today is the latest chapter in a story that began nearly 170,000 years ago.